Alright, if you wanted to see the list, well, this is how it goes. I wanted this to be full screen, but every time I try to do this, the recorder just stops working for some reason. So, yeah, just deal with me. You're gonna see all these, these things on my window screen. Uh, yeah, sorry, I tried to fix that, it doesn't work. So I'm just gonna talk about this real quick. I didn't want to hide it less this time around because I wanted people to just know right off the bat where I'm going with this. This is the order. This is what I think of the game right now. And I'm gonna explain now. Now you probably should listen to my explanations. It's gonna take a while. I'm gonna be honest with you guys because I want to start from scratch with this edition. I want to explain everyone once again and why is everyone in a specific tier or not. What does each tier represent? Why is it this way? Why is it not the other way around? What are my criterias and stuff like that. So right off the bat, I'm just gonna explain how I judge a killer in Dead by Daylight. Basically, I judge them on how they get kills, how they're able to kill someone really fast, how they are able to apply pressure, how they are able to get the hooks, how fast are their chase, their map control, their mobility, how good their add-ons are, or their expensive add-ons that they absolutely need to perform. For instance, if you need a purple add-on to be top tier, well, you're not gonna be top tier because that add-on is extremely rare and you're not gonna have that every game. But if you are very strong with a yellow add-on or a brown add-on, even better, well, that can give you a lot of fucking points right there. Because if you get a lot of points, you're gonna go up on the list, obviously. But that means that if you are good with a yellow or a brown, you pretty much can use them every game because they're really easy to farm. You get a lot of blood points as killer. So considering you put the points that you got in your game into your blood web for the killer you just used, you will probably get some of those add-ons back. So basically what I'm saying is that when I refer to add-ons and why the add-ons help or do not help the killer, well, I base myself on that. For example, the Huntress has the iridescent head hatchet. It's an ultra rare, sure, and it doesn't, it's not the easiest to acquire, but there's only one of them, only one ultra rare, so it's moderately easy to get. Though I cannot say that she can use that every game because she can't. She's gonna run out eventually. Same thing for the plague. The plague gets even worse because you see, she can have black incense, which is absolutely stupid. But the problem with Black Incense is that she can't really farm that easily. It's an ultra rare, and she has also iridescent seal that can show up instead. You see, that's the kind of dynamic I'm trying to get through. Okay, so before going to the more surprising parts of the list, because I'm pretty sure some people are pretty shocked right now by seeing the B tier and the D tier, for example. These two tiers are probably the most interesting to talk about. But we're gonna go from top to bottom. We're gonna see how strong a killer is, and then how weak they become as we move to the F tier. S tier. S tier is the nurse tier. There's no reason to call it not the S tier for the nurse tier because there's only nurse. Only nurse can fit there. This tier is only made for the strongest killer in the game. Unless the strongest killer in the game was debatable, but in which case it's not. In this game, the best killer in the game is the nurse. Everyone knows it's the nurse. I'm not gonna hide you guys that the nurse is basically fucking insane. What makes her strong though? Like at the core, what makes this nurse a very strong killer is her insane mobility, her insane chase power, the fact that she can actually ambush on people that are trying to hide because her terror radius works like it moves where she's at, but as she's blinking so fast that the terror radius can suddenly appear in your ears and you have like no time to hide, and she's gonna find you and then down you because it's the nurse. I'm not saying that she's overpowered and there's absolutely nothing you can do against her, but it's gonna be pretty difficult. You're gonna have a bad time if the nurse plays pretty well. The best way to counter the nurse is to play the nurse. That's the best thing I can tell you, because if you understand how the nurse thinks, you're gonna be able to juke her a little bit. But keep in mind that she can always outsmart you, because the nurse really heavily relies on her skill cap. The player that plays the nurse has the biggest power here. If you're stupidly strong with the nurse, you're probably gonna do extremely well in 99% of your games. Like, you may lose one or two games once in a while, maybe, if you face, the most insane survivors that just do gens in 4 minutes with the most broken shit perks like adrenaline, object, maybe not object versus the nurse, decisive, borrow time, dead hard, balanced landing, you know, all the meta perks. So the nurse really is the best because she performs very well in what you need her to. Basically, if the game was about stealthing, the nurse wouldn't be the best killer. The best killer, if it was for stealth, would be another one, a killer that has a very good tracking. Uh, but no, it's not a stealth game. It's very heavily oriented on the chase. But saying that only the chase matters is completely wrong here. What makes the nurse above everyone else is her mobility and how stupidly good she is at pretty much using her skill cap and all. She knows pretty much every map tile, unless there's the dead zone, in which case, well, fuck you, because it's behavior, you're gonna get stuck there. Um, but otherwise, you're probably just gonna win, to be honest, especially if you're using add-ons. Now, add-ons do make the nurse pretty fucking broken. Omega Blinks is pretty stupid. If you don't know what Omega Blinks is, well, it's basically doubling. Well, I say doubling. It's double add-ons that make her blink further, so she can just blink off half across the map. It's fucking insane. It's really stupid. She can have more than 2 blinks. She can have 3, 4, even 5. She can also blink stupid fast if she uses Anxious Gasp. She has a lot of stuff that can make her pretty overboard. She feels really unfair with those add-ons. She does have a lot of perk builds that make her extremely stupid, especially with Infectious Fright and I'm All Ears. These 2 perks really make her really strong. You should definitely try them if you haven't already. They're really strong on her. But yeah, that's the nurse for you. I don't think I have to explain a lot, but I still wanted to cover, what makes her good. Moving on, the A tier. The A tier is the top tier. Sorry. The top tier along with the nurse, obviously, but the top tier is more like these killers are fucking insane. They're not nurse, but they're still fucking insane. They also really heavily rely on the skill cap of the player. They are also fucking busted with add-ons. They have a lot of stuff going for them. They pretty much do a lot of things that the nurse can do, except not as good, because the nurse does them better than them. The first of which is going to be the Hag. Now, the Hag is a pretty underrated killer in my eyes. I know a lot of people think that she's strong and all, but I don't think they realize quite how deadly she can be. Basically, what does the Hag do? Well, if she plays well, she's gonna place traps on the map, making the maps pretty much unsafe. She's gonna trap crossroads, she can trap some loops, she can trap pretty much everything she wants to, but most of the time she's gonna use crossroads and a few loops that she wants to trap. Why crossroads? Because those are paths that survivors go through really often, and the survivors will pop the traps there and start the chase. Also, crossroads prevent the Hag from, or should I say the survivor, from reaching the loop. So that, stops them from reaching any loop, so there's no point to trap the loop. It also makes her more unpredictable, makes flashlights a lot weaker against her. Stop saying urban evasion counters the Hag, it's dumb. It just prefers her traps when she's gonna really need them. The only thing that does is make you more stealthy against her because you're probably gonna be able to move around a bit better, but you're still gonna be, at walking speed. You're not gonna run. That's really what she does. She shuts down the map. So after you've done your first gen, now you can't really move safely. You can't just run to the next gen because every single other killer, you can just run to the next gen or the gen after if you don't want to get regened. But the hag, no, you can't do that because she's gonna have a trap somewhere and you're gonna trigger the trap and then you're gonna go down. And someone trying to do the same thing might trigger another trap. She's gonna slug you down and then down that other guy. Now someone is gonna come for you to save you, but then he's gonna trigger another trap and then get down again. You see, she snowballs extremely fast. She applies pressure extremely easily once she's set up. She's pretty much fucking cancer to go against. She shuts down fucking altruism. She shuts down everything. She ignores every map. She's the least map dependent killer. The maps, she doesn't care. The only thing she cares about is the size of the map. The larger the map, of course, obviously the weaker she is, but that's every killer. Minus maybe Freddy, but we're gonna talk about him later. Yeah, the hag is just fucking insane. If you don't trust me, well, hopefully I can stream sometime soon and show you guys how fucking busted she is. She really is busted. She needs some kind of nerf. Well, not right now, but if the survivors, the gen rush was fixed, all the top 3 will need a nerf, in my opinion. Because I think the B tier is the balance. I think that's where the balance rises, and that's where killers should be. And that's the level they should be. They should be strong, but they shouldn't be fucking busted. And the only reason why they don't really need a nerf right now, obviously, is because the survivors are so busted as well. They're even more busted, if anything. Moving on, the other killer in A tier is obviously the Hillbilly. That shouldn't come really as a surprise. The Hillbilly is fucking busted. He goes really fast on the map. He has the best mobility in the game, basically. He has an insta down. He can just curve on the loops using his chainsaw, get the free hits really easily. He moves, he moves so fucking fast. It's just crazy. Like, imagine a modern killer that would have the power of the Hillbilly. A lot of people would say that's fucking broken. He goes on the map so fast and he has an inside down. That's stupid. What makes the Hillbilly not the best fucking killer in the game then? Well, simple. He's loopable. He's not the greatest in chase, but he still has his curve, which is fucking terrifying. So he has stuff. It's just not on the level of Nurse and Hag in chase, or the Spirit, or even Huntress on some maps. It's not as good as those. But never underestimate the curve, especially with angry veins. Hillbillies, like the mouse one hillbillies, are not really what you need to worry about. The chainsaw hillbillies that curve are the ones that you should shit your pants in. They're gonna be extremely terrifying to face. Hillbilly has a lot of burst energy. He uses barbecue and chili, trailing tremors extremely well, enduring. He can use totem builds. Versus Colleen's even good on him because he can see someone extremely fast with that aura reading. They're not gonna stop healing in time. If they heal, that is. They might as well not heal. But in which case, they're gonna be vulnerable to your fucking high mobility, and then you're just gonna M1 them. The Hillbilly is a very straightforward killer to talk about. There's not much to say about him. He's just that crazy. His mobility is just the best thing ever. And yeah, for obvious reasons, Hillbilly was going to be high on the list. Moving on to the B tier. The B tier is an interesting tier. This is the first tier that I did change quite a lot since we last talked about this. The B tier is called the high tier. It's a tier where we have killers that are strong, but they do not, what should I say? They do not, overperform or are too strong for the game if the survivors were not busted. If Gen Rush didn't exist, that's where the balance should be, in my opinion. Uh, the first of which is the Spirit. Now, the Spirit is a killer that is very overrated in my eyes. A lot of people think that she's completely busted, that she needs a nerf, because you can't really see what she's doing. You don't really know where she is in a chase, and that's pretty fucking bad for the survivor. I realize that, but it's not hopeless. There's a lot of stuff you can do against her. You can try to mind game her. The thing about the Spirit, right, is that she requires the survivor to use their brain, and they're usually not very good at doing that, which is why they suck against Nurse and Spirit, because they're required to use their brain against those killers. Though I do think the Spirit is a lot weaker than the Nurse, because the Spirit has a cooldown for one. For two, if she messes up, she's gonna be big trouble. Like, the Nurse gets a stun, alright. The Spirit gets a fucking cooldown that lasts for ages, unless you're using add-ons. But then, our add-ons, like, our base kit is not that great. Like, I've realized that you can do well with her base kit, which is why she's B tier, by the way, and not C tier. But the fact that she really wants those add-ons to actually be very strong. At the same time, the Spirit doesn't have the best first synergy. Like, Barbecue can work, except that she has to not use her power for a while to know which direction the survivors are going to, because she's gonna lose the Aurora reading. She can use instant downs, except that she doesn't have the best tracking in the world. She actually has one of the worst trackings in the game. So if she can't find anyone, well, might make your choice, and Hot on Ground might not be that good. She can't really use Enduring that well, even though she doesn't really need it, so I don't think that's an issue. I don't know why I said that. Like, our mobility is good, but it's not up there. Our chase is good, but it's not up there. You see when I'm trying to go. After she gets it down, well, she probably use her ability unless the survivor is a deep shit and just lost to a fucking 110 killer. Well, she's gonna be on cooldown, which means if she sees another survivor, well, it's gonna be hard to slug, because she's gonna have to wait for a cooldown to get the first hit, and then wait for a cooldown again to get the next down. So slugging with her is not the best thing. The fact that she can't really slug well also is not that great, like I said. Um, but yeah, those are the weaknesses I see in her. As you can see, I can see her being a bit lacking, but she's definitely up there. She's definitely strong. Definitely one of the few viable killers in the game. I think the top 6 up here are all viable. The top 6 are all viable. The C tier, maybe with add-ons and good maps. And then the D tier, nah, not really viable. What I mean by viable is they're gonna win most of their matches at high ranks. That's what I mean by that, if you play well, that is. Because survivors are pretty deep shit, to be honest. They're gonna make a lot of mistakes for you to take advantage of, so they're not gonna be, always the fucking death squads that do gens in 4 minutes. Now, the next guy is the new killer in town, the Demogorgon. I've seen mixed opinions about this guy. Like, a lot of people really think that this guy is weak as fuck, and some people call him fucking overpowered as shit. I stand more by the fact that he's strong, but he's not overpowered. And he's definitely not a weak killer. Like, you're talking about a killer with a high mobility that has a chase power and can pretty much sneak up on survivors as well, has tracking, he has a lot of stuff. He does have a lot of stuff, and that versatility that he can actually use very well makes him actually pretty good. And that's pretty surprising. Like, they finally made a good killer. Wow! It took you a fucking year since the previous one, which is right here. So, wow, good job, Avier. You actually made a good killer that is actually fun for everyone. I don't see a lot of people don't liking the Demogorgon. Like, a lot of people really like him. Most people really love him. saying that he's fun to play against. So good job there. And I do think that he's strong because he's very versatile, like I said. Another thing that you should notice is that a lot of people say that the shred is useless. I don't really agree with that. What you can do with the shred, basically, you can bait it out, then making the survivor sidestep and slowing themselves down. You can also use them very well in jungle gyms and at the shack. There's a lot of tiles on the map that you can use it. Sure, it's not gonna be the best on every loot. There's quite a few loots that you won't be able to use it. But that doesn't make him, bad by any means. I mean, if you put Demogorgon as a bad killer and the Huntress as a very good killer, I don't understand because they have a very similar mechanic where they're gonna bait or they're gonna, raise their power and then charge or throw the hatchet and, the only difference is that one of them is 115 and the other one can throw things over objects. So if they drop the pallet, you're gonna hit them. The other one, well, is more like, okay, you're gonna get the distance on them. You're gonna catch them before they make the pallet. But, you're 115. You have a higher chance to do that. The reason why I think Demogorgon is also very good is about his mobility. He can create a regen no matter what. Like, he can use his power to choose 3 gens on the map that he wants to protect, 3 or 4. You should go with 4 in case one of them messes up. And then you can just protect those gens. They don't even have to be close. Like you're the one in the building, one corner of the map, and then you can just protect the rest. He's a pretty there's a lot of strategy you can do with him, basically. And I really think he's strong, personally. I don't see him being weak at all. And he can only go up from there. They're gonna buff him soon enough. They're gonna make him so that he breaks the pallets when using his shred on them. I think he's gonna still have a stun on them though, but it's still a small buff that I want to have. I think it's gonna help him out. Now the next killer is a killer that dropped a little bit, but not by much, to be honest. Like I said before, Michael Myers and the Spirit were really close in the previous tier list, and I stand by that. I just think that Demogorgon just showed up and is like, hi there, I'm there. It's like, oh, okay. But it's not that Myers got weaker, it's just, I think the Spirit has the edge on Michael now, because she makes survivors do fucking stupid mistakes. It's so awful. Because they need to use their brain. While Michael, they don't really need to use their brain, you can just loop. So, yeah, okay. I will give that point to the Spirit. And I think Demogorgon is better than Michael because Demogorgon is more versatile than Michael. He has a lot. Like, Michael is a one-trick pony. He does one thing. But that one thing is so good that you have to give him the points for that. It's a sudden snowball. Basically, Michael does one thing that is extremely overlooked by most of the community, and that is the tier 3. When he gets the tier 3, it can just completely turn the game around in 2 seconds, and the survivors may very well panic and not know what to do, because suddenly Michael gets a down there, another down there, and now he's chasing that third guy. Now you're the last guy, you're like, okay, oh shit, I need to save my teammates. And it's like, oh, you play a shit ton of pressure all of a sudden. But how do you do this? Well, let me explain. You use very good add-ons that increase their stalking speed. You can also use Dead Rabbit to make it so that you can sneak up on them and have a bigger radius for your next perk, which is Infectious Fright with your Monitor and Abuse, giving you a 50-meter tracking every time you down someone. That is fucking insane. And you can use that so well to slug, it's completely crazy. So you find one guy, which should be really easy because you have a small tier radius. You pop tier 3, you down him, you see everyone on the map, you go fucking stab the next one, and you just do a chain attack until, they all die and they're all down, which does happen quite often. Michael does have also a lot of busted add-ons like the Tombstone piece, which just kills someone in less than a minute if you do it well. Like if you know how to stalk with Michael, how to be a bit sneaky, you're gonna get the tier 1 off really quickly. which is the main weakness of Michael. It's the fucking tier 1, but it doesn't last for that long. Like, a lot of people overestimate the time that it's going to take. Sure, it's bad in Corn, I will give you that. In Corn maps, Michael does struggle a lot. But those are pretty much the only maps that he's gonna struggle, because other than that, he's not nearly as bad as Huntress, let's say, for the maps, or Leatherface, or, you know, all these worst killers like right here, except maybe Freddy, question mark? But yeah, Michael's very, very strong. He does one thing, but that one thing is so good, I have to give it for him. So those are the B tier killers. That was a pretty long tier to explain. Moving on to the C tier, right? The C tier. We have two killers here. We have two killers that I think are pretty similar in some cases, but also very different. It's kind of hard to compare them. So let's just talk about them one at a time and why I put Plague above Huntress right now. The Plague. The Plague is a killer that is all about making survivors vulnerable, making survivors not want to be found, not want to be near you, not want to do anything. Basically, she's very good at having survivors, you know, in danger all the time. Basically, a lot of things you're gonna do with the Plague is basically, I say basically way too much. You want to have everyone sick as soon as possible. Then they're gonna be, you know, broken, so they're gonna be vulnerable to you know, your M1 attack. Sure, you're still lootable, but you can waste the pallets really often, and you don't have to commit to a chase. Like, you shouldn't commit to a chase as the Plague. You should never commit to a chase. Just make him drop the pallet, move on, just and you're gonna go back. Like, that gen now is completely unsafe because the pallet got broken. So now you're gonna be able to one-shot them and slug them. If they decide to cleanse, well, you just get the power, a fucking stupidly strong power, the corrupt purge. Um, sure, you're gonna not be able to track them as easily, but you're gonna down them so fast. It just doesn't, you know, doesn't even matter. Um, but most of the time, they're not gonna cleanse, so you're gonna have your tracking. You're gonna be able to hear them extremely well, and every time they touch something, it's gonna infect them. So it's pretty much impossible to hide from her at this point. And you're gonna get one shot. And she's gonna slug you. She's not gonna hook you. She's gonna force other people to come by. And she's gonna hear them coming by. And she's gonna down them as well. Basically, she makes survivors have to make difficult decisions, and it can tear the teams apart. I think she's a very underrated killer. I think a lot of people should give her more of a chance. I did, because I used to think she's garbage. I used to think that she was fucking garbage, completely useless. Then I realized, oh, she actually has some tracking. Oh, okay. It's okay, let's try to use that. And then I found ways to use her tracking. And now I think she's pretty good. I don't think she's, you know, strong and all, but I do think she's pretty decent. She can do something. She needs those add-ons though. Like, she really wants that apple most of the time to get that corrupt purge, at least one of the corrupt purge. She can also, you know, get those add-ons that help her charge her puke and, you know, have better effectiveness. Or you can use a busted add-on, that also works, you know. Black Incense or Biomedic, those are pretty much fucking busted. You can use those if you really want to feel tryhard. But other than that, yeah, she can do well with the yellow add-on. The apple, I mean. Like, she's not that bad at all. She can do pretty well. Like, the C tier, she belongs in the C tier because the C tier is like the mid tier. It's where the killers, you know, they're decent, they can work. It's just not all the time. And the Huntress is another case, and the reason why she doesn't work all the time is very obvious. Okay, so let's talk about why the Huntress is a very strong killer and why she's only C tier. The Huntress has a very strong power in chase, the hatchets that allow her to down survivors through windows, through pallets. She can hit them over, you know, a bunch of stuff. You know what a hatchet is, right? So what the Huntress can do, she can zone survivors really well. She can hit them from afar. She can apply pressure really easily from map away. Uh, her power by itself is very strong. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. But she has a few flaws that make her so fucking bad sometimes that I just can't ignore them. The first one is her movement speed. She's 110. Alright. She's a 110 killer and she has no way to move faster. She has no way to teleport. She has no way to, uh, move around the map. So she has pretty much the worst mobility in the game. And that is pretty fucking big. And the one thing also that makes her this slow and below plague is that she pretty much has the DC on 80% of the maps in the game. Dead by Daylight is not a game made for projectile killers most of the time. Like, projectile killers most of the time will have to deal with maps. But, projectile killers like the Plague are 115 and have tracking. She's 110 and she doesn't have anything except her hatchets. So if her power doesn't work, she becomes the worst killer in the game. On Larry's, she's pretty much the worst killer in the game. On Haddonfield, she's pretty fucking bad. I wouldn't say she's the worst on Haddonfield, but she's fucking bad. There's a lot of maps that make her completely useless. Like I said, Larry's, Haddonfield, the game. Then you have the Asylum, you have the Chapel, you have both the Red Forest maps, you have both the swamps, you have Ormond, you have Yamoka. She has so many bad maps. So many of them. And I do agree that most of these maps are bad for most killers. But for the Huntress in particular, they're extremely bad because as soon as a survivor gets a wall with a pallet, you're a 110 killer. And the only thing you can try to do is mind game, but guess what? Survivors put it against a shit ton of Huntress because she's extremely popular. They're gonna know how to fuck with her. And that's a huge weakness. Like, unlike killers like the Hag or the Plague, these two killers are very rare. And the people don't necessarily know how to deal with them. The Huntress is extremely common. She's one of the most common killers in the game. In my region, she is the #1 most common. I'm sure you should not. I face so many Huntress. And there's so many of them, and I loop them. And I completely bully them. It's hilarious. And it's sad. Because she gets cut by only map design. Because otherwise she'd be very strong. B or even A tier. She's fucking scary as fuck when she's played very well and on or good maps. Like Blood Lodge. That's a very good map for Huntress. Or another map would be Wrecker's Yard. She works very well on those maps. But that's the thing. She relies on RNG. She relies on the map RNG or map offerings. And even then, she has to pray that the survivors don't use a fucking map offering and bring them to fucking Ormond or something. So yeah. I'm sad to say that the Huntress is not in a good spot right now. She's keeping going down and she might go down still. Like the Huntress mains, they're getting scarred right now. There are not a lot of Huntress mains left. Most of them are moving on to Spirit, from what I've seen, and I can definitely see why. Okay, so that was the last of the quote-unquote viable killers. Like C tier, it's maybe, a big maybe for the viable. But yeah, those were viable, those are maybe. Now we're moving to the not so great killers. D tier is mediocre. These killers are lacking. Basically, they need more stuff. They need buffs to do something because the potential is there. It's just not right there. Doctor is the first one. Doctor is a very interesting killer to talk about because he is very versatile, like the Demogorgon. But unlike the Demogorgon, he can't really use that versatility. First of all, he has a good tracking, right? But that tracking is not perfect. Survivors need to be close to you to scream really, really fast. Because otherwise you can stay in your turret radius for quite a while. Or they can hide in lockers. Or they can run Con Spirit. But who runs Con Spirit? Like, seriously. If you run Con Spirit, what the fuck are you doing? So, a lot of people say that it's impossible to stealth a doctor. But no, you can stealth him. You can avoid tier 1. It's perfectly fine. Or you can just, pop tier 1 when he's chasing someone and never get to tier 2. That's something you can do. So you can mess up with his tracking. So his tracking is, it works, but it's not great. It doesn't work all the time. His chase, alright, he has a shock that makes you not able to drop the pallets or vault windows. That sounds amazing. Except the range is not great, so he needs multi-electrode. Okay, it's a broad add-on, it's fine. But it doesn't work all the time still, because one, there's the latency, which means that you may hit the survivor with the sheer shock before they start vaulting the window on your screen, but on their screen, they're already pressing space, which means they're all going to vault as they get shocked. You see, that's the latency. They're gonna be on a different, not quite on at the same time as you. And that's why also a lot of hits and hitboxes seem weird in this game. So the Doctor's Shock suffers a lot from this. It works on some loops, and most of the time it's the worst loops. Like Ironworks, you can stop that window with the shock. You can prevent them from vaulting it, but he needs to vault the electrode, like I said. He needs at least a little bit of range. The Doctor needs a couple buffs. He's not bad, he's just not great. He's not doing so hot. I think it's no secret to anyone that he's not doing so hot, but I don't think that he's bad. He has potential. I did have a good times with the Doctor. He has pretty interesting add-on combos. You can try, 4 totems with the Sniper Doc. That's pretty fucking hilarious. And that makes him pretty strong. But you see, he can do stall as well with the snap out of it, but it doesn't work that well. The skill checks are not hard to fucking hit, and unless, it makes your screen lag because it's the Doctor, he's not very well optimized. But it doesn't last for long. It's not as bad as Mending, but it's still not good. Like, that stall is barely better than Mending. Barely. The only reason why it's better, well, one, there are skill checks, and two, you don't keep the progress if you stop snapping out of it. You have to start over. So that's the Doctor for you. Fairly mediocre killer. And we're moving on to a killer that is pretty similar. Freddy. Okay. I've been waiting for this one. So last time we talked about Freddy, he was not reworked yet. He was, like I said, the most underrated killer in Dead by Daylight. Was able to apply consistent stall, consistent pressure, being able to stop the gen rush, make survivors panic using mind games and tricks, making them completely, the survivors that, only know how to gen rush were fucked against Freddy because they couldn't do that. They had to know how to loop well, and they needed those meta perks. They needed stuff because otherwise you could just, gen rush the bad killers. But Freddy had that niche. He had that niche of being able to stop the gen rush. He had the best stall in the game, and you could do a lot of tricks with it. Not a lot of people discovered that, and that's kind of sad. But then he got reworked, and this is probably one of the few times you're gonna hear this, because most people are gonna say the opposite. Freddy got nerfed in this reworked. A lot of people are gonna say that he's way better because they don't know what he was able to do. No, he's way worse. He's a lot worse than he was. So Freddy cannot apply stall anymore. Now you're gonna say, oh, you can use the chain add-on. Yeah, the chains add-ons, they're pretty much as useful as Thanatophobia is, which means not useful at all. They don't really make a big difference. And the people need to be asleep, which, by the way, is really easy to wake up right now because you can use the same things as before, But there's also clocks on the maps that you can use as well. So I know it's one clock that you can use and you can't use the other ones. And I know that waking people up over and over and over using another survivor is gonna take longer, but you can still miss a skill check. You can still just find the clock. So it doesn't really have that stall anymore. What does he have now though? Okay, he gained mobility. Okay, that's pretty good. But it has a very long cooldown. Okay, the cooldown it doesn't bother me as much as Spirit's cooldown because he can try to place snares and pallets. And we're gonna talk about those quickly. Um, so okay, and he can mind game with it. He can fake the teleport. Okay, that's fine. That's pretty cool. Uh, Now, does he have anything else? Oh, he has chase tools now. Okay, let's look at those chase tools. He gained he gained Clown's power, and if he uses an add-on, he has pallets. Okay, let's look at the Dream Snares first. So that's Clown's power. Okay, okay. So it slows people down, and you can try to hit them with them. Okay, except it's a trap on the ground instead of a ball that he throws. Okay, I guess that's more reliable. Does it work? Not really, because remember, guys, what we said a few updates ago with this tier list about the clown's power. You can just, stand at the pallet and completely remove his power. You can do the same thing with Freddy. If you're asleep, you can just stand in a pallet. Because you need to be asleep as well to be affected by the dream snares. If you're awake, you have no reason to worry. If you're asleep and he's using the snares, just stand at a pallet. Now you're gonna say, well, that's waste pallets. Okay, well, there's so many on the map. Why does it matter? It would matter if Gen Rush wasn't a thing, but Gen Rush is a thing, so you only need 4 minutes of pallets, and there's plenty of those. You can also use, all your Windows tricks with your balance landings and shit, your dead hearts. You're not gonna go down to fucking snares. Okay, let's look at the Dream Pallets then. If he uses an add-on, well, one of those add-ons, he can transform them into Dream Pallets and make fake pallets. Oh, that's super cool! That must catch survivors off guard. Except not really. You need a bit of luck for survivors to actually, go for the fake pallets. They need to be asleep still. And even then, there are a few tricks you can use to know if it's a real pallet or not. You can use your camera. If your camera goes through the dream pallet, it's a fake pallet. If it, stutters and you can't really see the inside of the pallet, that's a real one. So even that's not good. So you pretty much gain mobility, and that's about it. Like, okay, when you're asleep, he also has the lullaby, not a terror radius. That's pretty confusing. Alright, that's pretty decent. Okay, I guess he has that. So, you see, it's pretty similar to Doctor. He has stuff, but it's not, up there. It's not great. It's just there. Oh, also, another thing, why is he lower than Doc? It's because objective obsession. Recently, they made it so that Freddy's lullaby doesn't act as a terror radius, which means that, okay, if you're asleep, you can't really use your borrowed time, alright, but you can just wake up and use it, so who cares? But that also means that you can see with him with object all the time, so it's impossible for Freddy to mind game. Absolutely impossible. You see his aura, so he can't really do anything. So because object exists, yeah, that's the only reason. Because otherwise, he was above Doctor. It was Doc, it was Freddy, and then Doc. But then this happened, and it's like, oh, now he's completely fucked by object. Okay, well, fuck it. He's gonna be lower than Doc. Like, at least Doc doesn't get fucking cut by object as much. So, yeah, that's Freddy. I'm pretty sad what happened to Freddy. Also, he seems pretty brain dead right now. It doesn't really have a lot of cool tricks. He's just, using his things. Just mouse one. And, yeah. Pretty sad what happened to my boy. And I'm pretty sad to all the Freddy mains on there. Well, the old Freddy mains. I'm also sad about the new Freddy mains, actually. Now that I think about it, because Oh my god, you must be so boring to main Freddy right now because he's so boring. He's brain dead. Is there anything cool you can do with him? Not really. You just spam your power and hope for the best. Moving on because I'm getting pretty depressed. Okay, we have Ghostface. Okay, this is probably the killer that I know the least about. There's not a lot I can say about Ghostface. I really don't like him. I don't like playing as him. It makes me want to kill myself. I know, I just said that on the internet. I'm sorry, YouTube, but it's just gotta happen. That's how I feel when I play as Ghostface. It's not how I feel in general. Calm the fuck down. But yeah, Ghostface, it makes me really, really angry playing as him and just makes me so depressed and just like, dude, I just lose my power while being fucking behind a wall. It's really infuriating. Okay, now I do agree that Ghostface has the sneak up, and I do agree that he can catch you off guard sometimes, alright. And he can lean and prevent, being seen most of the time. He has some pretty nutty add-ons, alright. He's just, I'm gonna resume Ghostface by Wazza! Okay, he's just lame. He's just okay. I'm like Michael, except not really, because you can just look at me, and I lose my power. It's like okay. Um, do you have anything? Well, I can lose my terror radius. Okay. Well, Michael doesn't really have a terror radius. Like it's very short. That might as well not have one, even with monitor. Okay. Well, Michael has a better burst energy than you. Oh, fuck. Yeah, you really, like, what is your burst energy? Nurse's Calling? Alright, you have a 1 burst energy. Wow, okay, you can use Nurse's Calling. Congratulations. There's a lot of killers that can use Nurse's Calling, you know that? Michael can do it as well. Hag can do it. Nurse can do it. Huntress can do it. There's a lot of killers that can use Nurse's Calling, you know that? You're pretty worthless, Ghostface. Now, he's not even E or F tier because I can see him doing something during the match. You see, I can see him use his power to sneak up on someone. He can use his inside down sometimes. He can 99 someone. It may work sometimes. My opinion on Ghostface changes so much all the time, but he never goes higher than this. This is the highest he's gonna get. So be glad. The people that watch this that like Ghostface, I know you are there. I know who you are. Be glad that he's there because he's not gonna go any higher, at least for now. Because really, I don't really know or care. I don't even care for Ghostface. I just nah. He's there. He does stuff, just not very good. I'm gonna move on from the D tier now because fuck the D tier. It's really boring. E tier. Oh god. Okay. We have killers that, were bad on my favorite tier list, and there's, a new killer there that we're gonna talk about. So, E tier, we are getting to the killers that have a lot of problems. They really have a lot of problems. Those problems are actually fucking big. And the first one we're gonna talk about is a Trapper, my boy, my main Trapper. Trapper boy he's pretty bad. He is pretty bad. He basically Trapper will trap the map, obviously because he's the Trapper. He's gonna try to have you down in his traps. It's pretty much an insta down and insta grab. All right, if you're in his face, that is. Because 25% chance to escape, which pretty much means they're gonna escape instantly all the time. So you need to be next to them. Not only that, but he has so many things that go against, and he has so much counterplay. Like the fact that he's just has so much counterplay, and he really wastes his entire time placing down traps. Now I do agree that Trapper's pretty versatile, and he has a lot of stuff that he can do. but it's never very good. And it's actually pretty bad. And it's pretty much a gamble at this point. You just place traps and M1 people. That sounds pretty boring, but I don't know why it's really fun to play as him because it's really satisfying to get the trap. Now, why is he higher than, all these 5 killers? Why is he not bottom 5? Because the trapper can snowball and has a very strong punish. Basically, if survivors fuck up against him, it can be very well GG. He can win games super fast. He can turn the tables around really quick. But for that to happen, yeah, you need a lot of luck. You need survivors to do a lot of mistakes, and that's not great. So he's not in a hot spot right now. But he's better than these 5. Oh boy, it's Boba. Boba. Boba is very, very, very bad. As you probably already know. He has an insta down that he cannot really use it very well. Like, he pretty much has the worst insta down in the game. He can't really use it very well unless he's using Play With Your Food. Now, if he's using Play With Your Food, okay, now he becomes a bit better. And this is also why he's not any lower, because otherwise he'd be worse than Pig and Wraith. But the reason why Leatherface is higher than them, because that one perk, Play With Your Food, really makes him scary. It can actually give him a free chainsaw sometimes. It can make him pretty fucking nutty. Okay, so he has that one niche he can do. And that's a perk, not an add-on, so you can use that every game. Perfect. Does that make him good? No. Fuck no. Bubba's still Bubba. He's still bad. He's still a punish killer. He still wants survivors to fuck up to do anything. He can camp and face camp and yeah, that's pretty much what he can do. Okay. So, yeah, these killers are gonna go by really fast, as you can see, because they're really bad. Okay, Pig. What does the Pig do? She tries to sneak up on you, except it's not as good as Ghostface because, well, the Pig, she really has to crouch down slowly. She can't really, go into her power and still move at 115. She has to move crouch all the time while sneaking up. Ghostface can crouch at the very last second and try to sneak up from that. The Pig has to crouch all the way through. So she has to crouch from 32 meters or wait, 28, no, not 28, 24 if you're using monitor. It's a stealth killer that needs monitor. Now Myers doesn't count because he's different. But Pig is a stealth killer that needs monitor. That's pretty bad. That's really saying a lot. That our sneak is not really good. Okay, but that's the best part about our power. Ambush. Okay, she can try to mind game with that. Except the Sawyer can just run away from the loop. Okay. Well, you can try to crouch and uncrouch then. Okay, yeah, that's something you can do. Except the survivors will most likely make a window anyway, because most of the time there's a juggle gym and there's, the loop with the pallet. Now, you're gonna try to migrate them at the pallet, then you're gonna crouch, they're gonna run away. It's like, oh, then I'm gonna uncrouch, but they vault the fucking window, and it's like, oh, great, now I'm in a juggle gym. What do I do? Well, I just M1. Okay, she has a reverse bear traps. Okay, that can stall the game. Except it's complete RNG, and it has no pressure whatsoever against the doors. If they're activated, they will work on the doors, but if they're not, well, it's not gonna work. They're just gonna escape with the trap. Okay. If it's activated, well, they can still use the hatch. The hatch doesn't care. If they have a key, they don't care. So really, does she do really anything? She does a couple things, I guess. I guess she's better than F tier killers because her power is not completely useless. It can do something like 2% of the time. Like, wow, this is actually, she got nerfed so hard that she just dropped so much on my list. She got way too many nerfs. That's really what happened to her. She got nerfed and nerfed and nerfed. Like, Stop nerfing the fucking pig! She's already dead! Moving on, the Wraith. The Wraith has always been a low tier killer. He's always been bad. He's a stealth killer. He's not a good stealth killer. He's visible while stealthy. Uh, he's very loud. He's the only thing he gains is a better mobility and the fact that he has good add-ons. Those are the only good things he has. Because otherwise he's a complete joke. He's an M1 killer. But at least he has mobility. And at least he can try to get the first hit. He can try stuff, you know. And with add-ons, he can, you know, be pretty decent. He will be F tier, but his add-ons really save him. Because if he didn't have those add-ons, he'd be F tier. Like 100%. Because he's very similar to the next killer. Oh god, oh god, oh god. The F tier. Okay, the F tier, those killers, those powers are pretty fucking useless. Legion. Oh god. Okay. What the fuck happened to Legion? Legion got completely destroyed. Like I said last time that we talked about this, Legion doesn't do anything. Really, he gets the first hit, I guess, and he has a bit of tracking, but he can't really use that tracking to do anything. Like, what is he going to do to use that tracking? Go find another survivor to try to injure them so they have to mend? Okay. Your power gives, you know, you can't down people using your power. So in some situations, if you're using your power, you're actually weaker than if you were just an M1 killer because you can down them. So they're not gonna drop the pallets. You're not gonna force the pallets to drop. You're like, who's gonna drop a pallet against a frenzy Legion? Unless you're confident that you're gonna get the stun, you shouldn't do that. You just you know, get through windows, wait his time, try to delay the hit because you know it's gonna happen. But then Mr. Stabby Stabby cannot really down you. Like, what? Like, does he have any mobility? Not really. He moves at 120 while in frenzy, and he has a 5-second stun, so it doesn't really gain any mobility. Yeah, the only thing he does is injuring people fast. That's it. But it's still better than, you know, the clown right there. Here's the clown. Okay, what we talked about the clown earlier. What does he do? He throws bottle. He tries to slow you down. Tries to get a hit. Tries to stop the loop. He tries. It just doesn't work. Because you can just stand at the pallet and completely counter him. Or you got a bug because he's so buggy that the power doesn't work. Or you just, you know, you got someone, but then the gens get done because people gen rush. And he doesn't have any stall or any pressure or any mobility. He only has a chase tool that doesn't really work. So he pretty much doesn't have a power at this point. Flask of Bleach can help a bit. It's not gonna do a whole lot because people can still stand at the pallet. People can still gen rush. He still has no pressure. He still has no mobility. He has a bit of perk synergy, better than Legion at least, but he's still not gonna do anything. He still has to hit you twice. The Legion's gonna only have to hit you once after using this fucking useless Feral Frenzy. Clown, yeah, no, Clown doesn't really do anything. He pretty much deserves his own tier at this point, but I wanted to put Legion with him because of how useless Legion is as well. Maybe Legion deserves his own tier than its Clown. But yeah, that's the list for now. Hopefully that was clear enough. And my voice is fucking dying. It's been pretty much an hour at this point. So hopefully you guys enjoy. Please be respectful in the comments this time around. Because last time it wasn't great, you know, I had to delete quite a few comments. Because they were not really mature comments, should I say. So, yeah, feel free to discuss if you want. Otherwise, see, I'm gonna see you guys later on the next update of this tier list. Yeah, see ya.